Comparing Decimals, Everyday Lesson 3.13. Today's agenda includes overview, warm-up, focus, and practice. Students will compare decimals using the greater than, the less than, and the equal symbol. You will need your marker board and a marker or a paper and pencil, your student journal, and for reference, the student reference book. During today's mental math and fluency practice, you will round numbers to various places. Remember to round up if you find the number 5 or greater in the ones place, and round down if you find the number 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0 in the ones place. Level 1, round 405,080 to the nearest 100,000, 10,000, and 1,000. Level 2 includes you rounding 4,060,850. Level 3, you will round 29,867,521. Let's begin. You have 2 minutes. One minute remaining. Here you can see the correct responses. Please give yourself a check if you had written the correct response, and go ahead and change your answer if you had written down a different answer. Please pause here to give students time to check their work. Today's focus includes the math message, solving decimal comparison, number stories, and comparing decimals. In the math message, you will create a number sentence using the less than, greater than, or equal to symbol. Use these two numbers, 95 hundredths and 3/10ths, to create your number sentence. You have 2 minutes beginning now. You have reached your halfway mark. Go ahead and check your work to make sure your number sentence makes sense. Let's take a look at a quick video about comparing decimals.
Let's compare the number 0.7 to the number 0.09. And there's a bunch of ways to do this, but the way that I'm going to tackle it is I'm going to start looking at each of the digits, starting with the leftmost digit. And so we can start right over here in the ones place. And you always want to compare ones place to ones place. So for example, if we compare these two numbers, they both have 0 ones. So the ones place doesn't tell us much. So now let's go one place value to the right. Let's go to the tenths place. This number has 7 tenths, while this number has 0 tenths. That by itself tells us that this is the larger number. We put an inequality symbol right over here. We want to open it up to the larger number, or it points to the smaller number. So this says 0.7 is greater than 0.09. Now you might be tempted to say, oh, wait, look, but if we went one more digit to the right, you have 9 hundredths here, and you have no hundredths over here. We could write a 0 over here, and you say, oh, well, look, you have no hundredths over here. But the 9 hundredths don't matter. Remember, even if you had 10 hundredths, that's the same thing as 1/10. So it doesn't matter that 9 is somehow greater than 7. What matters is it's in a place to the right. Even if you increased by another hundredth here, you'd only get to 1/10. This thing over here has 7 tenths. Let's do another one of these. Let's say we wanted to compare. Let's say we wanted to compare 0.0.29, and I want to compare. Let's say I want to compare that to 0.31. Now, this one you might say is a little bit more straightforward, depending on how you think about it. If you say, hey, this is 29 hundredths, this is 31 hundredths, well, I have more hundredths on the right-hand side. So let me open my inequality to the larger value, and I would say 0.29 or 29 hundredths is less than 31 hundredths. Another way you could have done this is you could have looked in the ones place, say, okay, they both have 0 ones, but then you look in the tenths place, say this only has 2 tenths, while this has 3 tenths. I actually don't have to keep looking at the digits to the right of that. I could just compare this 2 tenths to the 3 tenths. 3 tenths is larger, and so I would say that 29 hundredths is less than 31 hundredths. Let's do one more, just for fun. Let's compare 0.6 to, I'll do them the same color, 0.06. Which of these is the larger number? Well, we do the same thing that we've been doing. You can first go to the ones place. Say, okay, this has no ones, this has no ones. Okay, that doesn't tell us much. Then the tenths place. This has 6 tenths. This has 0 tenths. So this number is going to be larger. It has more tenths. It doesn't matter who has more hundredths. Hundredths are much smaller than tenths. They're tenth the size of a tenth. So this has 6 tenths. This has 0 tenths. So this number is larger. 0.6 is greater than 0.06. It's actually 10 times greater. We could talk about that in other videos.
Now we will work together to explore decimal comparison number stories. You will have a total of 5 minutes to answer the question, which decimal is larger, 95 hundredths or 3 tenths? show your work, and discuss with your teacher how you were able to write your number sentence about 9500s being greater than, less than, or equal to 3/10. Please begin now. We have just about 2 minutes remaining. If you have not started sharing with your teacher about how you were able to determine if 9500 is greater than, less than, or equal to 3/10, please start sharing now. Did you use a visual model like base 10 blocks or a number line? Did you convert your decimals into fractions? Or did you take a look at the place values to determine if 95 hundredths is greater than, less than, or equal to 3/10? Take a sec to recognize the possible responses here. Now take a look at this number story. Caitlin agreed that 95 hundredths is greater than 3/10. She said this is true because 95 is greater than 3. Do you agree with her? Will her strategy work when repeated with any pair of decimals? And if not, can you give an example in which her strategy will not work? Please take 2 minutes and 30 seconds to explain if you agree or disagree with Caitlin. If you haven't had a chance to share out, please raise your hand to share out with the 1 minute remaining. Let's take a look at another number story. A can of soup weighs about 3/10 kilogram. A centimeter block weighs a little more than 95 hundredth grams. Which weighs more, the can of soup or the centimeter block? Take about 2.5 minutes to think about which weighs more, the can of soup or the centimeter block. Can you still say 3/10 is less than 95 hundredths? Why or why not? Which weighs more, the can of soup or the centimeter block? And about how many times more? This is a 1-minute reminder. If you have not answered all 4 questions, please try to use the remaining time to do just that. This number story includes kilograms and grams. Comparisons are only valid when 2 decimals refer to the same whole. These 2 decimals do not refer to the same whole. The can of soup weighs more than the centimeter block. 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams, and 1/10 of a kilogram is equal to 100 grams. 3/10 of a kilogram is equal to 300 grams. The can of soup weighs about 300 times as much as a centimeter block. In this lesson, you will compare 2 decimals to the hundredths place by reasoning about their size. They will recognize that comparisons are valid only when the 2 decimals refer to the same whole. Now, students, get ready to record the results of the comparison with the inequality symbols greater than, equal to, or less than, and justify your conclusion by using visual models. Consider using base 10 blocks or a number line. Let's solve number stories and other problems by comparing decimals. Just as with fractions, it is important to look at the whole when comparing decimals. If the whole is different, the comparison will not be valid. For each problem, write a number model using the inequality symbols greater than, equal to, or less than to record the results of the comparison using your marker board or a piece of paper. Justify your conclusion We have about 1 minute remaining. Please make sure you check your number sentence to make sure it makes sense. Please take a look at your visual model. Did you use base 10 blocks or a number line? Consider fractions. Here are three possibilities that you could have used to solve the story problem. You could have used a number line, base 10 blocks, or fractions. Which did you use? Can I have a student volunteer read the number story for your class and solve? Please don't forget to use your visual model. You have about 2 minutes. Take a look at your marker board or your paper to see if you have a number sentence with the inequality symbol and a visual model. We have about 1 minute left. Here you can see some possible solutions using visual models. We have the base 10 blocks, the number line where the hundreds are being compared, and you can see the two fractions being compared. If you haven't already, hold up your marker board or paper to show your teacher your visual model. I hope you have enjoyed working together to compare decimals. Now, you can practice using your student math journal on page 102 to compare decimals. You can review by looking at page 103 in your student journal, and you can utilize a home links page that's a part of your learning packet. Here's a bonus number story. If you have time, please read and solve. Today we discussed comparing decimals. Please let your teacher know if you have any questions.